Welcome back, everyone. Today we're doing the story of League of Legends explained by Necrit. We got this recommended from us from one of our commenters. We're excited to get into it, learn a little bit more about the League lore after watching both Arcane and a lot of the League cinematics. I'm excited. How about you, man?
I'm very excited. I'm just gonna say this: this is just dope. The world that they have built, all the characters, it's just amazing,
Yeah.
mind blowing. To be honest, I heard of the League of Legends game before. I just didn't know how big it was, how intricate the story is.
Right. Right.
I've been amazed.
Oh, man. Well, you ready to dive into it? Let's learn more about this
Let's do it.
universe.
Let's just do it, man.
Necrit. Thank you, Necrit, for making
The
this
two
video.
most popular questions I get asked are: is the lore of League of Legends good? To which I say that we have a lore channel with over
I don't know.
500 videos now. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't
So
read the
I'm
story.
assuming yes.
And I want to read the story, but I don't know where to start. And that is a very hard question to answer, because quite frankly, you can start anywhere you want. All of Riot's stories are written in a way where no matter what story you read, all of the information
there's like-
you need to understand it is somehow
Oh,
put
short
in there.
stories? Is that
For
like in
example,
the
if you are interested in
the website? maybe?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe those are those free? Can we read those? And it looks like there was comics too. I
You know
saw on
what?
there.
You remember when we were like trying to figure out what to react to, like when you log into like, well, not logged in, like go into the website.
Yeah.
I think somewhere around there, we're gonna be able to find this short stories and
In
comics.
Ionia,
That'd be
you
pretty
can
cool.
read about any champion in any order you want.
Any
but
champion
some
as well?
talk about certain events more than others. Some champions, like Riven
The
or
Kinku
Master Yi,
Monastery.
explain the Noxian chemical warfare. But
Did do this? No one a Zonite alchemist in their service? Wait.
they still
Okay.
at least mention the main battle at the Placidium. Other champions, like Irelia or Karma, explain the main battle at the Placidium,
Irelia.
but they only hint
The main battle at
at the chemical
Presidio?
warfare.
I don't
So
know what that
basically,
is.
all the stories
Ah.
contain all the information you need.
Oh wait, are all
Holy
of those?
shit!
Oh yeah, yeah.
Look at all these regions. Wait,
Wait, did we watch all of them?
we've seen Demacia, Freylord. We've definitely seen Noxus, Piltover. I
We
believe
didn't
we saw
see Vandal
Zon.
City. I
I
don't
don't think
remember
we've seen Vandal City. No.
Void we did. I cannot see because of the subtitles.
So you are never
still.
left confused.
Shit.
But I understand that
But
simply
well,
telling you that you
I
can
know
read whatever you want
Shurima.
is not
I've never heard of
enough.
that.
After all, League of
Oh.
Legends does have its main storyline. Despite there being more than 145 champions,
Holy fuck.
all with their own unique stories, there is an
Bro, and that
overarching
was
plotline.
how old is this video? 5 years old or something?
Dude, there has to be like what
I mean,
20 more fucking characters since then.
I mean, so one of the comments said that it's like 160 something.
That
at
serves
this
as
Yeah.
the
point.
real story above
That's
all
gotta
the
be
others.
crazy, man.
And today, we will talk about exactly that. It wasn't an easy task, but I managed to put together the complete story of the main events that affected the universe of League of Legends.
Okay,
The
so
way
we're-
I
we
did it was
appreciate
simple.
that.
I read
Go
the
ahead.
world.
We're going from
All
the
the information
start.
you're about to hear can be found in various stories and champion bios. But just like you have item descriptions or journal logs in other games, League is also
So
hiding tiny
he's
pieces of
he's
information.
taken the
He's put the work.
the biographies of these characters basically, and he's piecing
In places
together
you
what
wouldn't
has
expect.
happened
You can
at the
actually get a
beginning
lot of
to
new
form
hidden
this
information
universe.
by cross-referencing different champion
So,
stories.
this
The
is
way
a,
it
what,
works is
20-minute
that you usually
video?
have two
Yeah.
champions
Can you
from the
imagine
other
how
side of the
long that
world
it took him
pointing
to
at
put
I can't
this
different
imagine.
together?
But when you
Plus
realize that they
editing
are
and
actually
shit.
pointing at
I
the same
know.
thing, you discover something massive. So with all of that said, keep in mind that the story of Runeterra can still get expanded upon. So in the future, some of the things we mentioned here may be
Dude.
already explained and things might be slightly different. In fact, I would say that about 15% of this video is sourced
Ooh,
from
that's a
those
cool looking
tiny pieces
creature
of information.
with the red horn.
However, what I'm
God
about to show
damn.
you right now is still
Oh.
the closest thing we can get to covering the entire storyline of League of Legends.
The
the
entire
characters?
storyline?
Necessary explanations. Finally, without further ado,
Okay,
let's
okay.
get into the main
least so
storyline
far.
of League of Legends. Let's start at the very, very beginning. In the ages before time was even a concept, there was nothing. Or at least that's what the things inside the nothing thought. You see, since the beginning of time, there were always the Watchers.
So
They
the
are these
Watchers
nightmarish,
thought
shapeless
they were
creatures that
nothing.
drifted in the absolute darkness of the
I
universe.
wonder what woke
The
them
thing
up.
is that the universe was so dark and empty. The Watchers themselves didn't even know they existed.
I can barely see it,
There
but
was nothing
it
to
looks like
see
it's a
and nothing to
pretty cool
feel.
creature.
There was nothing to
Yeah, I
show
feel like
them
there's a
that they
character
actually
massive.
lived.
in League
But
that kind of
all
looks like
changed
that.
when a tiny spark of
The
light
Watcher?
appeared in the empty
Mhm.
cosmos.
Oh, here it is.
Suddenly, the Watchers realized they could see. Not only that, they
Wait.
realized that they are
So there's a tiny light, and they're like, "Wait a minute, I guess if you're in complete darkness, yeah. What the hell else
Like,
do you
hang on
do?
a second.
Wait a minute, I have eyes.
Wait a
beings
damn
with
minute.
I can see again.
Just like that, the spark of
What
light
the
woke
hell?
up the Watchers from their eternal sleep. Naturally, the Watchers were quite annoyed at the tiny spark. Up until now, everything was peaceful and quiet.
Yeah, that's
But
how I feel
this
whenever
spark
my
was
wife
blinding
turns the
them,
light
and
up.
it was ruining
You
their
know, the
slumber.
light on whenever
When they
I'm
drifted
sleeping.
closer to inspect the light, the Watchers found out that the tiny spark was in fact a window into reality. Inside
Oh,
the
so the Watchers are sitting
reality,
kind of
dragons
outside
of
of
twilight, cosmic beings,
reality.
and even death itself came.
So they transferred into
guess.
reality and realized these things also exist.
To be, and they roamed around the empty space.
That's what it looks like.
Some, like Aurelian souls, spread light around. They left little pieces of themselves behind, which created stars. And with a little help from
My boy's
cosmic
just
dust,
shitting out stars
planets
over
formed
here.
around these
Hey,
stars.
they're just
The
pooping.
absolute majority of these newborn
Pooping
worlds
stars.
were empty, but sometimes there was life. The one planet that we know about is Runeterra. Now, Runeterra wasn't shaped
So I wonder if
Wait. Is Runeterra like a planet?
yeah. That's where all these different factions live on Runeterra.
Oh.
I'm wondering if there's other worlds in the story, or
I
like
was just thinking about
if
that.
Runeterra is
I
the
mean-
only world, at least that we know about right now.
Whenever they're kind of run out of ideas, they're probably gonna just create a brand new world. And oh, guess what? We have more to expand on.
Right? It's like the possibilities are
accident.
literally
The
endless.
Celestials created this world with the use of the
So the Celestials created the world. So those two things are Celestials. We got
world runes, hence the name Runeterra. But while
World
that was
runes.
happening, the Watchers observed
So they're
it all
created
from
with
afar.
world runes.
It didn't take long before the celestial beings became aware of them. They knew that something was overlooking their realm, and they knew it was more powerful than anything in their
Oh, so they
reality.
sort of just had like
Now,
this
don't take
haunting
this
feeling that
information
they were
for
being
granted.
watched,
Technically,
but they
it should
didn't
be
know what it
considered a
was.
mystery, but
I
it is
know someone's
believed that the
watching me. I don't know
Celestials
what, but it's
created Runeterra
creepy
to
as
host an army
fuck.
of powerful beings that would defend reality against the Watchers. This was never directly confirmed, but as you'll see from the rest of the story, that is highly likely what happened here. Anyway, the planet was created and the Celestials were paying close attention to its development. This is likely the time when Ornn, Anivia, Volibear and the Seal Sister appeared.
Ornn,
Look at
Anivia,
that.
Volibear, and the Seal Sister appeared on the planet.
On Runeterra. It is theorized that the Celestials put them there to terraform the planet. The only thing that
So
we
they
get
were-
confirmed is that
okay.
according to his legend,
So they were placed here to basically build the world and build the land, the mountains, all that
Ornn
stuff,
did actually shape the
terraforming.
mountains of Freljord.
That's a look.
However, after a mysterious disaster,
that image
the
right there was
world runes that
wild.
created this world were lost and scattered across the same planet. This is likely the reason why Runeterra is a magical world full of spirits. It is likely because the world runes slowly radiated magic into the surrounding lands. Millennia
Oh,
passed
Okay.
and life started blooming on Runeterra. First, it was Yordles,
So-
Animals, and the Vastaya Shirei who started appearing.
wait,
Very cute.
Yordles, animals? Oh yeah, you like him? He's adorable, right? I forget his character
Yeah.
name.
Look at him. Look at him.
But we started with the
on
animals,
ocean
so
floor,
a little
but
bit of
humans later
evolution.
joined them when they started covering the surface.
Ah.
This was very important to the Celestials. As mortals began emerging, the Celestials started fiddling with their lives. In fact, according to the Celestials, they had some kind of grand design for the mortals. The story specifically avoids telling us what the design was, but at least we know that living beings had a purpose. The evolution of life wasn't an accident. To strengthen the relationship between the Celestials and the mortals of Runeterra, the Celestials did two things. First, they created star constellations. These were images that served as messages to guide mortals to their intended purpose.
Bro, could you imagine that?
My
Just
man.
staring up at the sky like, oh, what is this star? Oh, okay. I understand.
follow it.
I know what my purpose is in life.
It was
Now,
an easy
Again, is this part of the game?
Uh,
Something related to the game?
way
yeah,
to
it's just the
communicate with
lore.
them.
I don't think it
And
has to do anything with the
second,
game.
The Celestials created Mount Targon. An interesting fact is that the mountain was
So
literally
Celestians did
ripped
two
from the ground.
things.
It is as if someone pinched the earth
Created
and pulled
this
it up.
mountain,
That's why it is
and
much
they
steeper than
guided
any other
people.
mountain. Also, you may notice that a lot of the mountain surface is covered in ice. Partially, it is because it is really cold up there. But it's also because as the mountain was being pulled up, it was also dragging lakes and rivers with it. So
Holy
a lot
shit.
of the ice is vertically frozen lakes stuck to the mountain. In the end, Mount
Vertical
Targon was a pretty
frozen
successful
lakes, that's
invention.
fucking
It served as a
insane.
beacon of godly light and magic that
Kind
attracted
of like a
beings from
waterfall,
all
right?
over
Frozen,
the world.
I
The
guess.
more advanced mortals even formed their own
Wait, so it's a it's the
civilization
light
around its
attracted
peak,
beings
which
from
gave
all
them a
over
deeper
the world.
connection with the celestial
Wait,
realm. And after some
okay.
time, few of the most trusted individuals were elevated by the Celestials, specifically by the Celestial
Whoa.
aspects, creating the very first ascended beings.
Ascended
But the Celestials
beings?
weren't
What do
the
they
only
look
ones
like?
who were
Do
strengthening
they look
their
any
control
different?
over the life on Runeterra. The
But they look
Watchers were
badass.
doing the same. They were carefully poking holes into reality, gathering any information
The
about
Watchers are
what
bad.
the reality is,
That's what they're telling
and more
us.
specifically, how
Yeah.
can they get rid of it. The Celestials noticed these holes in realities that we know as Void Rifts, and they quickly moved to the next stage of controlling Runeterra.
Void Rifts?
Now it was about this time when Aurelian Sol flew by and he noticed how much the life on Runeterra bloomed. And when he got closer, he noticed
He said,
that
"Hold on, let me pull up. This is actually kind of interesting. What's going on here? what are we doing?"
all the
I've
tiny
never seen
mortals
anything
looked
like
up
this
at him,
before.
and they worshipped him.
Yeah, I
Now
fucking
this,
bet. Bro, could you imagine looking up and you just see a big ass dragon sitting there like, this
Don't
is
hit
my
me.
god, this is
I
my
worship
god.
ya.
Aurelian didn't mind at all. And
Oh, he
often
didn't
came
mind
back
at
to
all.
visit
He
Runeterra
fucking loved
between
it,
his
I
journeys
bet.
into the dark. At one point, the mortal community up on the mountain, who were now known as the Dargonians, offered Aurelian Sol
Dargonians.
a crown.
Argonians?
Aurelian, of course, appreciated the gesture of gratitude, and he happily put it on. But as he did that, he willingly chained himself to the planet, because the crown bound Aurelian to the will of the ascended Targonians. Aurelian
The
Sol
will of
was
the
now
ascended
enslaved. We don't really know if it
Targonians?
was just the Targonians who did this on their own,
Enslaved?
or if it was a plan of the
Yeah,
celestial
yeah. I was
beings
gonna
to
say
enslave
they just
Aurelian
knew
Sol.
to
But
do
either
this.
way, the reason why Aurelian Sol
Or it
was
just
enslaved
happened.
was because he was powerful
Yeah, I don't
enough
think it
to
was a
seal the
mistake,
Void
right?
Rifts.
Probably
He
they
was an
meant to do
effective
that.
weapon against the Grand Enemy.
Okay,
Aurelian
so
had a
he's
massive
fighting
ego
back
and he
against the
couldn't care less about
Watchers.
the lives of mortals. So that's why he had to be forced to properly help the reality. At this point, the Watchers were at their limits. They wanted to learn more about Runeterra, but they were massive, and the rifts were tiny. The Watchers simply
weren't
couldn't fit through.
they're like, we
But
can't
it didn't
fit
take them
through
too
these
long
rifts.
to figure out that all they
We
needed
can only
to
That's
do
how I
was
feel
to
in your
watch the
car.
mortal being and control it. If they corrupted
I don't
something
fit.
and sent it out, they could use it as a spy. So the way the Watchers gathered more information more effectively was by sending out horribly morphed beings to devour other beings and gather their information.
Jesus.
The reason why information is so important to the Watchers is because they could easily use it as a weapon against Runeterra. The more they learn about how living beings are constructed and what living beings are the strongest, the more powerful Voidborn creatures they can create and release through the rifts. But
Oh,
The fuck is that?
so the more they learned about basically humanity, they're like, okay, wait, we can make some pretty badass creatures here. Look at that fucking thing. What the hell is that?
You know what that reminds me of?
Hmm.
Victor's creatures that he created when they were ascended also.
Oh,
Wait a
were
second.
they ascended?
Was that part of the weren't they? Like they evolved. He said that they were gonna evolve into something bigger. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he mentioned something about like being ascended or something. Is that part of the
That would be
like
crazy.
they try to match with the lore? That would be
But
cool.
the Watchers realized that deconstructing and recreating beings is not the only way to win this war. Up in Freljord, they were playing a different game. They managed to slowly
Ooh, I
corrupt the
remember
mind of
this.
an individual that almost
Yeah,
doomed
yeah.
the entire planet.
This was
Of
With,
course, we're
what's
talking
his
about
name?
the
Braun?
guy with the
Lysandra.
shield.
Lysandra was one of the
Yep.
3 sisters that ruled Freljord, the second most powerful region at that time, right after Targon. The 3 sisters were
Okay.
Lysandra, Cerilda, and Avarosa, and all of them
3
were drawn to
sisters.
celestial magic.
They must be
Cerilda
really
wanted to
powerful.
command the celestial heavens,
I bet.
but for her arrogance, she lost her voice to the first Twilight.
Uh-oh.
Avarosa
No.
witnessed the twisting dark overlooking the world, and she was deafened by its
Oh, wait, she knew about the Watchers then.
complete emptiness. And Lysandra disrespected the wild magic of Runeterra, and as her punishment, she was blinded by Volibear. Together,
Oh.
one blind, one deaf, and
So,
one mute,
blind,
the
yeah,
3
yeah, deaf-
sisters ruled
oh.
Freljord.
Blind, deaf, and mute.
Since she was blind, Lysandra had to rely on her hearing and delving into dreams. This meant that over time her
Oh, I
hearing
bet
was
her-
so good she
yeah,
could
they
hear what
say
others could
that
not.
when-
Voices that echoed through the fabric of
Whenever
reality.
you lose the sight,
Unfortunately,
all their
what
senses
she didn't know is that
take
the
over,
Watchers
become better.
slowly corrupted her. Years passed, and Lysandra now fully trusted the Watchers, but she didn't dare tell her sisters about them. In
Oh,
secret,
she
Lysandra
trusted
even struck
them?
a deal with the Watchers.
Wait,
the
would you
Watchers would give
trust
her
them?
people near immortality. This power of immortality is what created the Iceborne, who
I
are
look like
basically
an elf.
Freljordians touched by the power of the Void. And
What?
in return, all the Watchers wanted was a safe place to rest when they visit their world. To Lysandra, this was an offering she couldn't decline, and so she accepted the terms on her
Oh,
sister's
fuck
behalf.
you, Lysandra.
More
Come
years later, when the
on.
Freljord was ready for the
Don't
Watchers,
do that.
without a warning, they started emerging from the abyss,
Stupid.
revealing Lysandra's hidden allegiance.
Oh.
Unfortunately, their horrible twisted forms were not what Lysandra expected.
Yeah, I
and
bet.
She realized the grave mistake she had made. She invited the
you
end
fucked up.
itself to their world.
That's exactly
At
what
this
happened.
point, Lysandra had two options. Let the world be consumed, or sacrifice everything she had ever had. And so, using her Iceborne powers, Lysandra managed to freeze everything and everyone who was present.
Okay. So they came out. Lysandra
Okay.
ended up redeeming herself by freezing everything
Everything and everyone.
till it thaws
I
out.
mean, okay, it's a little redemption.
Killing
Fucked up
Sorilda
redemption,
and
but
Avarosa
redemption
in the process.
nonetheless.
This is how a couple of Watchers got frozen in the Howling Abyss, while the rest escaped. After this defeat, the Watchers retreated, but not without new information.
Oh, what did they learn?
Many decades
course.
later, on the other side of the world, the war
Decades
against
later.
the Void took another turn. Even though Targon had Aurelian's soul under their control,
Yeah.
and they dealt with all the easily accessible rifts, sometimes they had to deal with smaller tears in reality that couldn't be accessed by a massive celestial dragon. That's why the Celestials had to nudge mortals to start a new empire. This time,
Oh.
more to the east. Under the guidance of the Celestials,
map is
the
wild.
new Shuriman Empire began constructing a massive disk in Nerimazeth. Using this disk, they attempted to channel celestial powers into their chosen soldiers. But the experiment failed
What?
and the disk was destroyed. Later, they made another attempt at this more to the east. This time they
Another
constructed
disk?
a much bigger
Sun
sun
disk.
disk that would create super soldiers capable of fighting back the void.
Wait, how did that work now? Like a freaking ray of beam come out of this thing and just like
I don't
shoot it
know.
at a soldier, and the soldier would all of a sudden have more powers? I mean, they're redirecting, I guess, celestial magic into them. How does that work? I'm confused.
These soldiers would get many different names. God Warriors, Golden Warriors, Sunborn, but we
Sunborn?
know them as Shuriman Ascended. Here we need to mention
Shuriman
three
Ascended.
very
Ascended.
important individuals that play a big role in this war. Azir
Okay.
became the greatest leader of the Empire and the grand leader of
Look
the
at this
Ascended. He was
motherfucker.
loved by pretty much everyone.
Jesus,
But keep in mind
he's
that
ascended?
he was still a human. He became Ascended much later. Nasus became the wisest of
Ooh.
them.
Nasus?
His
Oh,
knowledge
so
of
this is
war
like
tactics
Egyptian
would become
gods, right?
irreplaceable. And the third
Yeah, he looks
important
like it.
character is
Anubis, the
Sataka.
other one
She
was
was the
Ra.
war commander of the Ascended host, and she was the deadliest of all the Ascended.
Oh shit,
As
look
the
at her.
Empire was growing and the number of their god warriors was expanding, other nations became suppressed, and some even feared the unstoppable army of Shurima. One such nation was the Kingdom of Ikathia. Their leader, the infamous Mage King, had enough of cowering
This is the
before their
Void. I
fight,
also remember
so
this.
he went to war against Azir. Now the
Oh.
Mage King knew his small kingdom of mages would not stand a chance against the Ascended. So he called upon a power greater than what the Sun Disk could offer.
What?
He called upon the Void.
Oh
During the battle for
no!
Ikathia, a massive void rift consumed the kingdom, and after hundreds of years of observing, the Watchers had another chance to silence all reality. Using their
shit.
previously gathered knowledge, the Watchers corrupted everything they touched, and they created new voidborn abomination the world had never seen. This was a war on a scale nobody expected.
What?
But after many sacrifices, including Setaka, who died while being torn apart by these abominations,
Setaka?
the Ascended won, but at a great cost.
What
Not only
happened?
was the rift in Ikathia so big that even today it is still not fully sealed.
Oh my
but most
gosh.
of those who survived were permanently marked by the void. Before this battle,
Damn.
the Watchers have never even
Oh.
seen a God Warrior before, so they weren't able to fully
Look at
corrupt
this.
anyone. But their mark was enough to
Looks
leave
massive.
a tiny whispering voice in everyone's mind. Thankfully,
fucking
even though
bet.
their war commander Setaka was dead, Azir and Nasus remained untouched by the void, and
Oh,
they kept
good.
all the void-touched warriors under control. Of course, it didn't stay that way forever. Zerath, Azir's slave, who was also his best friend and a guide, saw him as a naive emperor. Everyone saw Azir as a kind-hearted leader, but there were still countless slaves dying under his rule. Now, secretly, Azir was planning to free
Plotting.
all the slaves on the day of his ascension.
Look
It
at
was
those
meant to be a
camels,
big
kind
surprise
of
to everyone,
buffalo
including
thingies.
Zerath. But when the day arrived, Zerath became jealous of the power Azir would get.
What?
So Zerath pushed Azir from the Ascension sunlight, and he drained all the power of the Sun Disk himself.
What?
This led to Azir's death and the destruction of the capital city. But
Holy
what's
shit.
worse, It also left all the Void-touched Ascended without a leader to keep them under control. The only one who could do something about this was Nasus. He was wise, but more importantly, he
Nasus
was
is
not
sick.
touched by the Void.
It looks
However,
dope.
keeping
He
so
looks
many
amazing.
corrupted Ascended in line was an
It's
impossible
probably
task even
difficult.
for him. And eventually, it was so dangerous, Nasus had to go into hiding. This
Wow.
meant that the Ascended warriors, now without a leader or purpose, and with tingling Void whispers in their minds,
He needs to
went
get allies. That's what he
absolutely
needs.
insane. Instead of being seen as godly beings, the Ascended slowly turned into brutal warlords. They fought each other, sometimes to gain more power, sometimes to settle
Xerath.
their differences. Eventually, they figured out how to control the whispers in their mind, and they created a brand new kind of magic.
Wait, it's wild that
Blood
that
magic.
he was just about to free the slaves and everything, and then Xerath was pissed off, basically drained all of his power, and then now there's probably still slaves out there. Good going, Xerath. Good job.
Good job.
Wait,
Good job.
so the Ascended then started a war, and they
Blood
created
magic,
blood
which
magic?
they used to reshape
Blood-
and
yep.
improve their bodies. Soon, the
Look
Ascended
at that
warriors were
shit.
known
What?
as the Darkin.
The
and
What is that
Darkin?
helmet?
would become known as the Great Darkin War. During these times, the entire world was in conflict, as the Darkin conquered as much land for themselves as they could.
Jesus.
While all of this was happening, the Celestials
Yeah, what are
watched
the
it.
Celestials
Their
doing?
warriors were
They're like,
supposed to
we're not
fight
gonna
the
help.
Void were
They were
now
just
fighting
eating
each other,
popcorn.
and they were more dangerous to the mortals than the Watchers
They're just having a good
themselves.
time up there.
So
They
the
got their
Celestials
popcorn.
had to remove them. The simplest way to do so was to send the aspect of Twilight to Shurima. There she would teach mortals how
What?
to seal the Darkin inside their weapons. It took
Oh.
a couple of years, but in the end, the surviving Shurimans together with the Targonian aspect sealed all the remaining Darkin. And
Damn.
finally, the world saw peace again. For a while,
Oh.
anyway. If we look back at what just happened, this entire Shuriman experiment was a massive loss for the Celestials. They wanted to have an army to fight the Void, but instead they ended up with the biggest Void Rift they have ever seen.
Yeah,
so
and
the
a freaking
Celestials
war
needed
among
an entirely
themselves.
new plan. But before they could figure something out, mortals took their fate into their own hands.
Yep.
Possibly in the worst way imaginable.
No.
You see,
What do we
now
do?
that the Darkin were gone and the world was left in utter ruins, even the simplest man could become a king by simply scavenging whatever he could. And
Oh.
that's exactly what came next. The
They
Age
just-
of Men. The first to step up was Mordekaiser. He was a brutal warlord
What?
king who easily swept across.
Okay, I think we saw
Man, Look
Mordekaiser.
at this thick boy.
I feel like we saw him in one of the Runeterra, the Noxus Runeterra cinematic. He was with Darius, I
think
believe,
so.
in the full armor.
Felren and conquered the entire
Look
continent.
at this guy.
Only when the
Jesus.
rest of the world united against him
Maybe
was
not.
his dark reign ended. Fast forward a couple of years and the world was simply at war again.
Ah.
But this war was unlike any other. Remember when the Celestials lost the world
Just-
runes at the beginning of the story?
Yes.
Well, mortals
Yep.
began uncovering them.
Oh,
Random mages
no.
around the world held stones with the power to create worlds.
No.
It was pretty much the equivalent to
Arcane?
holding a nuke. This sounds
Oh, like a
scary,
nuke?
but everything was fine as long as people were just threatening to fire the nukes. But once the first nuke was
Wait, it's fine. It's just like the world today. It's fine. Everyone's just threatening to use the nukes. They don't actually
the
use
second
them,
followed,
okay?
and then the third,
Oh,
and the fourth.
Jesus. Okay,
While
they
the
actually used
Celestials
them.
were trying to come up with a new plan, mortals literally set the world on fire.
You
This
fucking
conflict
idiots.
became known as the Rune Wars. Sometimes
Rune
Celestials
Wars?
managed to calm down some of the conflict.
It makes sense.
Usually this
bunch
was
of
done
wars.
with the help of the Targonian aspects, or with the help of Bard. Bard is a Celestial who
Bard?
specifically comes down on Runeterra to take powerful magical items away from mortals, just so they wouldn't use them in another war. The last time we saw Bard was during the battle for Bard Mountain in Ionia, where he
What is
took
this
away
animation?
this magical
I
egg.
don't know. I want to
Later,
watch
Celestials
that.
We
even
need to-
tried to
we need to
create more
watch it.
constellations to show people more messages. But at this
Okay.
point, mortal minds were too primitive, and they usually thought it was signs of doom. But
Oh.
sometimes, even mortals helped. On the Blessed Isles, there was a cult of mages dedicated to collecting the world runes. They did
Oh.
it to
Oh,
That's
this is the guy
right.
from the first.
He was the one, the first cinematic, yeah.
Yeah.
He was running with that scroll.
hide them away from other mortals. But even that didn't help. In the end, during this era, the most powerful nations were wiped out. In the east, only Noxus remained, after they wiped out their neighbors. Yes,
Jesus.
this circle you see here is actually a crater. There was supposed
That's
to be another
from the
nation
bomb.
here. And in the west, Demacia was built as a purely anti-magic nation. We know that there are a couple of
Demacia
nations
is
between them.
anti-magic?
For
Okay.
example, the Arbormar
Interesting.
Kingdom. But we don't know much else.
Hmm.
This is where the modern lore of League of Legends begins. So if we
Okay.
have a look at the world
What?
right now, the
This
Watchers
is
are
where it
constantly looking for a
begins?
way to invade
So this
Runeterra
is
because they are annoyed by its
pre-League.
existence. The north is hiding a massive void rift frozen beneath the holding
So
abyss.
this is how
The south has a
pretty much
massive
League of
void
Legends
rift still open
was created.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
there. Not big enough to fit a Watcher through, but big enough to spawn a void
So
army.
there's
The
two void
western and
rifts.
eastern Valorant is at war, the entire Shuriman continent is mostly in ruins, and the Blessed Isles blew up. Only
And the
Ionia
Blessed
is
Isles
somewhat
blew up.
decently holding it together, but Noxus had to screw them up too. Remember
Of
when
course.
I mentioned that the Celestials had mortals as a part of a bigger design?
Yes.
Again, the Celestials likely created mortal beings to use them all as soldiers in this galactic war. Well, whatever purpose mortals were supposed to have, it is far beyond the Celestial control now.
Yeah.
So now, you may be wondering, what happens next? Well, the main story can go a number of ways. We can learn more about the world runes through the vault in Demacia. Or maybe the Watchers will try to get through the rift in the north. Or the Darkin will try to make a comeback and the Celestials will have to deal with them again.
Darkin look
Riot
crazy.
created a playground where they can do a lot of different things.
Basically
Just
anything.
remember, it really
That's
doesn't
genius.
matter where you begin to read.
Yeah.
Every champion and every story makes sense on its own, so you can't get
love it.
lost. If you ask me, start with the stories found on Silas's page. He's a
Okay,
great champion
Silas.
for entering the new lore. He will get you right into the newest conflict. And right after that, maybe have a look at Udyr. I think he will surprise you
Udyr?
too. But no matter what you decide to do, just have fun and go for whatever you are interested in. The days
I'm
of
loving
bad lore
this.
are gone, and I think
The
you'll
days
be
of bad
pleasantly
lore are
surprised.
gone.
Hey, did you know that we have social media
Wow.
and Twitch where we talk about other league facts and stories? And did you
My
know that we have
man.
need mugs and
That
shirts
was
too?
an
The links to all of that will be
absolutely
below. And as
crazy
always,
video.
Thank you, come again.
Thank you, Necrit. Thank you, man. This was
Again,
insane.
The amount of time that it took him probably to, I mean, he already knew some of the lore or like a bunch, but doing the research to make it fit like the timeline and shit. God damn.
That had to take so much
It's
time.
insane.
We really appreciate that. But man,
Like you can tell this video is all because of the social media logo.
oh, those are the old logos. That's hilarious. Holy shit, man. That was
Man.
great. That was really
That's
well
incredible.
done. So we're saying that basically these Celestials created Runeterra, and then we're like, all right, these guys are gonna be my soldiers for this galactic war. And then those soldiers are like, nah, we got our own fucking plans, man. We're doing our own thing down here. You can fight your own war.
I'm not gonna lie. There were some parts that I was a little lost. You probably, if you're watching this, you'll see it on my face. But like overall, it was an amazing story.
Yeah.
It did give me a little more insight of, like, if I thought League of Legends lore was big, they just make it even bigger. Like insane.
Yeah, this is before League even happened. This is just like purely how the world was created and what happened to the world like as soon as it was created, the new beings that were on the world, because it said that it was sort of when the time of man came, that was like after
The
all
era of men.
the era of men, that was after all these ascended, all the darken, like that was after all this shit that already had happened.
Oh, it's honestly amazing.
I
I
know.
love this video. It looks like he has more videos, like explaining, like I'm looking at right now. It says Old Gods or Kyle and Morgana. We might need to take a look into his older content.
Yeah, I think so
He goes
too.
deep into the history.
Yeah, I would love to see more. Like you said, just like the different backstories of each of the characters, how they fit in. I don't even know where to start as well. I mean, this was, I think, a good starting place just because it shows like how League was created. So if anyone else has any more recommendations, please feel free to drop them down below. We'd love to dive in more to this League universe. It's been very interesting. Very interesting.
It's been an amazing journey.
Yeah.
It all started with Arcane. And I said it before, Arcane was a great show to introduce a lot of people to this lore. Not only to the game, like the lore overall. Like I bet a lot of
100%.
people start watching, like, okay, I need more of this. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for watching this reaction to Necrit 94's video. If you enjoyed our reaction, please remember to leave a like and subscribe.
See you in the next one.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.